All right, guys, so let's look at one of the most fundamental side control escapes, the one that I find myself using the most. And it's just a basic bridge. However, there's a few key details that when we pay attention to them, it's a side control escape that will work even against the very best side controls, the toughest guys with really good pressure. All right, so let's look at it first. So Paul has me in side control. All right, so my objectives in side control is always going to be to maintain some frames to stay safe. Paul's objective is going to be to isolate my frames, and then start to progress to mount or get submissions. So we want to always make sure we have this elbow framing on his hip. Obviously, side control is not a good position. However, we don't want to make it worse, okay, by taking away any potential frames that we have. So this elbow on the hip is probably the key thing that we use to stay safe in side control. It's one of the only things we have. So let's say he does actually capture this armpit. I'm in trouble here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn my thumb down and just look away and move my body away. And this will be able to pull my elbow back inside his hip. So thumb down, look away, and I can get my elbow back on his hip bone. Now I have a good frame. So when it comes to actually escaping here with the bridge, what we're going to do is first, as I've been saying, this elbow on the hip. Second, we want to have the hand on his back. We don't want to leave it dangling out here for him to attack Americanas or Kimuras or anything like that. So we want to keep it safe up here. He already has an underhook. We don't want to make it worse. Third, we keep our knee at his hip. Our objective is going to be to get our feet back inside and reestablish a guard or go into an attack. And if we're not ready to put our knee inside when we do our bridge, we've lost our opportunity. Fourth thing, we want to make sure our foot is higher than our knee. If our foot is lower than our knee, it's going to be harder to put my knee inside his hips, okay, just because of the angle. So once we do this, it makes it easier for my knee to slot in. So now when I've got all these prerequisites in place, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit a big bridge off one foot. I'm going to go completely off my butt and onto my right shoulder. And I'm going to use this bicep in his face to push him away. It's not a slap or anything like that. I'm just using it to transmit the force of my bridge to make some space. So Paul goes as tight as possible. He wants his crossface. He's not going to let go even when I bridge. So when I'm ready, I have everything in place and I hit my big bridge. All right. Now there's a bit of room, okay, for me to get my knee in. And ideally, I want my knee all the way to the other side of his hip. All right. Let's just angle so you guys can see that. My knee is on the other side of his hip. Now we go foot to foot. Let's re-angle so they can see that. We go foot to foot here. We pummel inside, hand to hand. And now Paul wants to hold on to his crossface. He doesn't want to lose side control, but he's actually overextending himself a little bit here. So we're going to take advantage of this. We push, we break the crossface. We get an overhook, all right? And let's angle this way so people can see. We don't want to just, go to set up a guard. Maybe let's go half guard or butterfly or whatever and not deal with this. He can just crossface me again and send me back down. It's not what I want. So immediately, I want to make sure I'm framing here in his bicep. I'm not just using my hand because he can push past that. I really want my wrist, okay, on his bicep and my hands touching his tricep. This is a nice solid frame. So from here, I have so many options where I can go into butterfly guard, half guard, okay, but my favorite option is going to be the clamp. It's a submission orientated guard. So what I do, I shoot my hips out, get my knee up to his shoulder, my foot above his shoulder, and now he's in a purely defensive position. We've gone from side control, where we were totally defensive, and in just a split second, he is now in danger. So we go palm up grip, grab the head, take our leg out, and hit a triangle. That's my favorite move. We'll cover that a little bit later. All right, so let's go over that one more time. I have my elbow on his hip, my hand on his back, my knee at his hip, my foot above my knee. So now I'm going to hit a big bridge coming off my butt onto one shoulder and using my crossface to transmit the force of my bridge and my glutes to really push him away. Okay, now from here, I make sure to get my knee in to the other side of his hip, I go foot to foot, get my arm in, break. Now it's easy to recover to any guard that we want. As always, I like to frame here, get an overhook, hip out, enter the clamp, and attack a triangle right away. All right, so this is one of the most fundamental side control escapes that you should know. It's a bridge, but we're combining we're kind of displaying the key details that you need to make it work against anyone. And then as you'll see, which is a prevalent theme in this DVD, is we're always trying to convert to some kind of offense. There's a moment there where our opponent might be desperate to hold on to side control and they will overextend themselves a little bit, allowing us to threaten a submission. Sometimes we do get the sub, but oftentimes, excuse me, we will instill fear into our opponent and he will be more hesitant to attack us in the future. He's like, oh, I just got him in side control, really good position, and I almost got submitted. So he's going to look at you differently, and that's going to help your roles in the future.